Welcome in, everybody. Matt and I are back, and we're going to chat some Orioles baseball tonight. It's been a little while.
Yes,
Been
it
a little
has.
while. Merry Christmas to everybody out there. Matt, hopefully you and the family had a great Christmas.
We did. Girls were a little under the weather, so we hunkered down at home the last couple of days. But they're feeling better. They're on the mend now, so we're hopefully going to get together with the family in the next couple of days, knock out these gift exchanges.
There you go. Very nice to hear. All right, guys. Well, we got some things to get into tonight. This would be the topic of some of our conversations here. Mainly, what are the Orioles willing to go to with Corbin Burnes? If you miss out, are you going to spend that $40 to $50 million elsewhere to improve the team offensively and in the pitching market? And can you replace Burnes with someone else? So that'll be some of our topics here. We've got some things to kind of go through tonight. And we'll kind of just we'll kick it off with this. Matt, what are your thoughts? Can the Orioles go up to $45 million a year for Burnes?
I think they can. Now, the caveat being, I think they have the ability to go up to that amount per year, as long as it doesn't come with that 7 or 8 year time frame.
Yeah.
I think that honestly, if they decide to do the 40 or 45 a year, but it's a 5-year contract, so be it.
Yeah.
Each day that passes where Corbin Burnes isn't signed to a ball team, my confidence level slightly ticks up that he is an Oriole for the next couple of years, maybe a handful of years, simply because everybody's already spent their biggest, free agency spending in the first week or two of free agency.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like a lot of teams kind of quote unquote blew their load a little early.
Yeah.
Kind of showed their hand a little bit, which is good for the Orioles a little bit. I mean, I don't want to say that it's good, but I mean, they haven't spent a ton. Like, they have money to spend. And I like Sean's comment here. I've thought about this earlier. Like, do you just go out and just say, okay, Corbin, you're going to be the highest paid pitcher in Major League history, $50 million a year for 3 years. If you regress, right, we're not bogged down during the gunner years. You should get a lot of money. And if you pitch extremely well, okay, now you can hit the open market for another large contract and or get an extension. I'm not against it. I just don't know if he would take it.
It's not even that. 50 is...
It's incredible.
It's incredible. But I think with Boris, and now this is conjecture, I think with Boris, you're looking at the possibility that if we come in with 50, in Boris's mind, you're willing to give him 55.
You're probably 100% right.
Or 57. Or you can ask them for 60 and they'll come down to 55 or 53 and a half. So if the Orioles in their mind will go 50, they need to offer them like 40.
Yeah.
So that way Boris can come back with 50. They can come back with 42. They can meet in the middle at 45.
Mm-hmm.
Just speculating at this point. But I think right now, with the way that this team is proceeding in the offseason, Corbin Burnes puts a nice bow on a low-key offseason that the Orioles have had so far. The winter meetings went after, no fanfare. No, we signed your boy Gary.
El Getty.
Yeah. We signed Tyler O'Neill. We signed the Japanese All-Star. I can't pronounce. Yeah, Sagano.
I'm not even going to attempt the first name.
Yeah, I like Sagano's numbers. I think they're going to translate well. He's probably a 4 or a 5 in our rotation. And with Eflin and G-Rod coming back, I think Burnes makes that rotation a million times better, obviously. But if you can swing that and get Burnes to commit, I think them getting Burnes to commit does more than just keeping an ace in Baltimore. If they can get Burnes to commit it shows the young guys here that we're willing to spend to win. So
Yes.
that gives the reassurance to Adley. That gives the reassurance to Gunner, to Westberg, to Jackson. Like, hey, we're going to put some money into this ball club.
Well, it's funny you just said that because I think 4 out of the 5 guys you just named are all under Burnes's client or
Boras.
agent, Boras.
Yeah.
They're all there, right? You have to prove to Scott Boras that you're ready to play ball.
And the thing is, if we pay Burnes a good amount of money, Boras will sit in good faith, at least initially.
Yeah.
And he won't let this play out through the media
Mm-hmm.
that he's been famous for in the past. I think he learned a cold, hard lesson last offseason when Snell and Montgomery got stiffed.
Yeah. And left him.
It left him, yeah. So that to me is...
Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah. Yeah, I was...
That's a lot of money, Joe.
Joe.
That's a lot of money.
Joe, look, it's a good pipe dream, but this isn't MLB The Show.
Mm-hmm.
You got to look at it pragmatically. If you put $50 million a year for the next 5 years into Burnes, arguably 1 or 2 of those years might be his downswing. So now you're talking about $100 million on the downswing of a pitcher. And let's just be frank. He throws very hard, and he has no history of injuries. But all it takes is one bad throw.
Right, and then you're $100 million on the drain because he misses 2 years. That's what scares me, is because he hasn't been hurt yet. And a lot of people make a lot of things out of a lot of injuries, but like I see a lot of people complaining, oh, this guy's been hurt, let's stay away from this guy's. I'm gonna tell you right now, every arm in baseball over the next 3 years is going to get hurt at least once. So there's no point in just staying away from him. You got to find the guy who's already been hurt, honestly, because he's already been fixed, rather than somebody like Corbin Burnes who hasn't been hurt and is maybe just one pitch away. Granted, you hope not. I mean, he's a big dude, let's be honest, and he doesn't look like one of these guys. He doesn't look like Tyler O'Neill, right? Who's just a linebacker who's constantly hurt because he's just lifting like an Olympic athlete. But still, it's tough. It's really tough because it only takes one pitch.
Yeah.
We saw it with Bradish. I hate to warn people. It's likely coming with Grayson. And that's kind of why I would like to, if they have to re-sign Burnes, in my opinion, and they also need to go get somebody else because it's going to happen again to someone in that rotation.
It is. I honestly think the last thing Grayson Rodriguez even needs is to have elbow trouble when he's had oblique trouble.
Yes.
For the last
lat, I think
years.
it is.
Yeah, lat. I'm sorry.
It's in his lat, yeah. Yeah, I agree with that comment too there. I mean, I think Ubaldo and Chris...
Different
eras, but...
Different front office, different owners. Now, the thing is, I think that's a thought process in a lot of our fans' heads, including our own. And I admittedly am there too because they spent a lot of money on Albert Bell. It didn't pan out. They spent a lot of money on Ubaldo Jimenez. It didn't pan out. They spent a crazy amount of money on Chris Davis. And after the Adderall, type situation, the fall off was astronomical. So, yeah.
Oh, it's terrible. It looks like me up there.
So, I can understand the hesitancy and the creeped in doubt that a lot of our fan base has because it's warranted. It's there. All of that is, it's a reasonable thought, Zach. We're not, we're in a situation now where we're a year into the new ownership. And now you got to show us instead of, making these cute little commercials and the splash zone and David Rubenstein out and about in the stadium with his,
throwing hats, baby.
All that's all well and good. That's cool that you're invested, but now you need to stand on these words and you gotta stand on them and you got to stand on them 10 toes down. 100%, because this is the all season that you can lose this fan base.
Yes. Yes, the ones you worked really hard to get back will fall off that quickly.
Zach, you and I are both in our mid-30s. And a lot of people watching this show right now are roughly our age, a little bit older, possibly a lot older. We have sat in our lifetime, we have sat through more losing droughts than we have winning seasons.
Yeah.
And it's almost double. So to me, where I'm at with it,
100%.
Spend some money. It's time to get this thing rolling. I'm not saying you got to overpay to keep Burnes, but you're going to have to kick him out some money that's good faith money. Chad put up on his comment, Chad Kendrick, 6 years, $250. Will that get it done though?
I don't know.
That's about 41 a year.
That should get it done.
It should get it done. But is he going to balk at the fact that we're not going to go 7 or 8 the way the Yankees did for Fried? Or
That's a good question.
Do they know where he's at? Obviously, he wants to be close to his family. He just had twins. That's all.
So speaking of that, right? This is his league ranks last year. When I pulled these stats, I thought it was a little better. They're not terrible. They're not terrible by any means, but you could tell August really kind of destroyed that.
Yeah.
I was expecting some more top 10s, maybe top 15s, but hey, I'm not putting this out there to say the Orioles should not sign this guy. I'm just putting his stats out there for everybody else to see. That's all. I was just shocked by him, honestly. I knew the average was pretty good against him. 222 it's a hell of an average for a starter. I thought that would have been top 15. That surprised me.
Yeah.
That 21 other guys had a lower average. Walks, that's fine to me. Ks were fine. And the funny thing is all we've heard about is how his K rates have declined, and they might have, but I mean, he's arguably a top 20 pitcher still at striking guys out for starters. I mean, when you look at these, you got to pay the guy.
I'm looking at right now. I'm looking at the top remaining free agent pitchers, and number 1 and number 2 are Burnes and Sasaki. I think that is a domino effect that Baltimore can definitely benefit
knock out both.
Because here's the thing: you brought in Sugano. Sugano is our age. He's got a lot of miles on that arm, and he hasn't played in the most elite league in the world. You sign Corbin Burnes. You already have another Japanese starter here. If you can convince Roki to give us a shot and invest in the Japanese market a little bit, now you're looking at a 2025 rotation where you're trotting out Corbin Burnes as your 1. Sasaki can be your 2.
You don't even need him to be because Zach Eflin's that good.
Yeah. Zach Eflin can be your 2. Sasaki can be your 3. G-Rod can be your 4. Sugano can be your 5. Now you're talking about a formidable rotation.
That's a good question.
The thing is, he towed the line in every interview, but the dude never really gave us a whole lot in any interview. So it wasn't like he was just dodgy about that. And Dan is right. That's a very good point. That's a super good point.
Now the money that money does come from different pockets, though.
It doesn't, but it's still we don't see it that way. We see it as it's a one-track thing. The Orioles are putting money into readjusting the fence again to attract hitters.
Mm-hmm.
Burnes is what he is. He's going to be better suited as an Oriole. And I'm not saying that because I want him here. I don't think he has the same effect on another team the way he does here. He's the guy. He can be the guy. He's not going
to be the guy in San Francisco. Well, he's still going to be the guy, but Jacob Webb, is it Jacob Webb? Logan Webb. Logan Webb is still still the guy there. He's the proven guy there. So I don't think Corbin's not going to just walk in there and
but
shit all over everybody.
It's been very he's been very bullish. I think a lot of people forget, and I think a lot of people have lost that in the sight of the last 8 months. I'm almost positive he was pissed the way he got traded from Milwaukee.
Oh, for sure.
I'm
Even
almost,
though he didn't want to be there.
Even he didn't really have a choice on where he wanted to go.
Yeah.
If he had a choice, he probably would have went to the Diamondbacks or the Dodgers or the Giants or the Padres, somebody out on that West Coast where he's anchored down. Going from Milwaukee to Baltimore, the teams are very, very similar if you hold them up next to each other. Young talent, tough division, borderline successful, borderline rebuild every single year for the last couple of years. That's a good point, Birdland.
I've actually thought about this. If they go and give Burnes a 7-year deal, a humongous deal, does that make Logan Webb available? He's only got 2 years left.
Put the comment up that Birdland had a couple of minutes ago about the call me crazy.
This one.
Call me crazy, a big reason. You know what? That rings to what we said on the last time we were all on air.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to circle it back to Hyde and go on a tangent about Hyde. Everybody that watches this show on this network knows how I feel about Brandon Hyde. But that holds a lot of weight. That holds a lot of weight because it's showing that they're more worried about atmosphere as opposed to culture. And you want to have this fun, laid-back, easygoing atmosphere, but you need to get some winners in here. Corbin Burnes is the winner. He's going to want to win a World Series. This is a very good team that he can get there. He's going to need some help, but he isn't a cog in the wheel. He's the wheel.
Yeah,
he's it. Our offseason is predicated on Burnes.
Yep.
And I don't want to be doom and gloom, but if you can't land Burnes, you have set yourself back about a year or two in terms of the expectation of the rebuild. Are you going to win 90-plus ball games without Corbin Burnes in your rotation? You're not.
So I made a TikTok earlier, and I mean, dude, this team won 100 games when they weren't supposed to, right?
Yeah.
And then you didn't, right? You took a step back. I think we probably all comfortably could have seen a step back coming, right? They won a lot of games they probably shouldn't have in 23. And then you had a massive amount of injuries. They still won a lot of games. I'm not discrediting absolutely anything in 2024. But if you look down the gun barrel and you go less wins from 23 to 24 and then go from 24 to 25 with less wins again, say they only win 90 games, now you're in a really bad spot.
It's a terrible
bad spot.
It's an awful spot. And do you want to do that to your team? Do you want to do that to your fan base? The alienation would be real at that point. And
it would.
And the thing is, this fan base, it's like Stockholm syndrome. They go back to their abuser year after year after year.
Yeah.
The Orioles they've given us some magical moments, but they need to be consistent.
I think their biggest problem, I honestly think these guys all get along. They all won together young. I really think Mike was just like, you're going to get your shot to try. We'll give you 2 years. When the big 3 or the big 4 is here, you've already got some studs and some veterans with Santander and Mullins. We'll give you your shot if you can go win. Do you think this year becomes a tide turning where now it's like, okay, now I need to kind of start maybe depleting this team and getting in the right pieces to fit with my studs?
This is one of those situations now where you got to stop putting your pride and your emphasis in the farm. There's a couple log jams at a couple key positions right now. And we have no pitching coming up that is worthy of being a scary pitcher. We got a couple maybes.
That's a good point.
And now you're looking at a situation where if you don't sign Burnes and you win 86 games and you finish third in the AL East, Boston leapfrogs you, or Toronto leapfrogs you, or the Rays leapfrog you, or a combination of two out of those three.
The Rays are going to find a way to be good with absolutely no talent on their roster. They do it every couple years.
So here's another effect to this. You don't sign Burnes. That's telling Adley, Gunnar, Westy, and Jackson that you're not serious about winning.
Yeah.
You have got to convince at least 3 out of those 4 to stay here. I truly believe we have the money, but we're not going to have the money according to the ownership to afford to keep all 4 of those guys. Now, who do you let walk? I say at all 4 of those guys, Adley isn't going to be worth his weight in gold as opposed to the other 3.
Well, the problem is Grayson walks before all of them.
Right. But here's the thing. I love Grayson Rodriguez. I think Grayson Rodriguez is a fantastic pitcher. Are the Orioles going to invest money in him when he can't finish a year?
It's a big year for him. It's a big year for him.
It's a big year. And here's the thing. Do you toe that line and not go to him now and offer him an extension of some kind to at least guarantee a little bit of security the next couple of years? Because if he goes out there and he wins 18, 19 games next year, hypothetically speaking, and his fastball's floating around 99 and he doesn't spend any time on the IL, and all of a sudden, Orioles are a
$35 million guy.
Right.
If not more.
When you could possibly say, hey, here's 3 for 60, we'll revisit this after 27 or 26.
Mm-hmm.
Buy out that last year that he's got coming in and then go from there. You can do it a couple different ways.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's so frustrating because if you let these arms walk, Grayson's a homegrown arm. If you let Grayson walk and you let Burnes walk, and they happen in back-to-back off seasons, you're going to have a lot of trouble convincing this fan base that you're not just here to make money.
Yeah.
Rubenstein needs to show us instead of talking about it. And the thing is, I'm tying this to Elias. Elias might be a baseball genius. He might be an analytical wizard. I'm not taking anything away from him with that. But here's the but. If you cannot secure your future, and if I see Gunnar wearing pinstripes in my lifetime, I'm probably going to jump off a bridge.
Yeah, I'll probably just go watch soccer.
You could this crop of guys we got right now, you can't let them hit free agency.
Yeah, I agree.
One
of them is going to. I think one of them is going to.
And
you just have to pick which one.
I would rather wait out Adley because when he gets to free agency, he's going to be closer to 30 than the other guys.
Yep.
Gunner's going to get to free agency, I think, in his age 26 or 27 year.
26, turning 27, yeah. Jackson's going to get there at 26.
26.
Westburg, I think, 28? Will be 28, yeah. But all of them will be in their prime.
Right. And now
it's going to be another Manny Machado situation.
Yeah.
For 3 guys. And that's not saying anything of who's going to come up next. All right, so here's the next question. What's that?
Birdland was saying, if the flip side of that, you offer him a deal, he bets on himself, gets hurt, he costs himself millions. The thing is,
it happens every day, though.
Everything's a mitigated risk when you're a major league pitcher.
Yeah.
Do you turn down that 3-year, $60 million secure future for the short term and say, I'm going to bet on myself, and then you have Tommy John in your free agency year, and now you're in a John Means situation, or you're in a situation where it's like, hey, we'll bring you back, but it's going to be at this rate and not that 20 that we were talking about. We'll give you a 1-year deal, 2-year deal, so you can rehab, we'll pay you to get healthy, and then we'll give you a prove it deal on the back end of that, and that might be $11 or $12 million total. You never know. You've got to take a mitigated risk anyway. But the Orioles front office and this ownership, if anybody should have a pulse on this organization's fan base, it is Cal Ripken.
Yeah.
I understand Rubenstein's a local guy, and I understand that he's got the money. But Ripken should be able to see what is going on because Ripken sat through the World Series. He was on the World Series team in '83. He was on those great 1990s teams, and then he's witnessed the catastrophe that came after that.
I wholeheartedly agree with that statement. He actually was better than Corbin Burnes, stat-wise, for years. He was probably the third best pitcher in baseball, and no one even remembers him right now. And he's back this year.
You need this. The Orioles have to take the risk and sign Burnes to not lose the fan base. If we go to opening day, home opener March 31st of next year, if you trot out there and Zach Eflin is the number one starter, and potentially it could be Corbin Burnes as a Red Sox starting in the opposing dugout, you're going to have 40,000 people there
booing
and hate watching what is going on.
I agree. But let me flip side you real quick. If you landed Sasaki and then traded for Pablo Lopez, right? That gives you a very stout rotation. A la pending what Sasaki is able to bring here. We really don't know. Yes, it's a loss losing Burnes. Do you think the team is still good enough to win with that kind of rotation? Eflin, Lopez, no. Rodriguez. You don't think so?
No. And it's not a condemnation of them. It's about the simple fact that the twos and the threes and the back end guys benefit from a Corbin Burnes in the rotation as well.
Yeah.
Because the pressure isn't there.
I agree.
If Eflin is your ace by default, are you going to get 8 straight quality starts out of him in a row like he did when he got here?
Probably not.
Because he had Corbin Burnes.
Because he couldn't do that in Tampa Bay.
He couldn't do it as the main guy in Tampa Bay. So now you're talking about putting him on another team in the AL East and asking him to be your pseudo ace because there's nobody else. It's I
would miss my first opening day since 2012 if that would happen. I wouldn't go.
I don't understand the fascination with Dylan Cease.
Me either. He just strikes guys out. That's it. He just gets absolutely pummeled by AL East teams.
and the thing is, you don't want him playing majority AL East.
Nope.
I agree with what Moose said, that you missed the wave of signing your twos and threes. You have to get Burnes back.
Yeah.
He's right. That's essentially what we've been saying. He is correct, Zach.
I'm really shocked they didn't go after Buehler.
I'm not shocked because Buehler doesn't fit their profile. Buehler is a 1-year guy. He is.
I would have gave him 4. I would have.
But look at the situation he's in now. Boston gave him a 1-year, $21 million contract.
21, yeah. It surprised me.
In July, if Buehler is not pitching well, they can ship him off to wherever and only pay half that contract. Pay a little bit more of it if they want to get a better prospect. In all actuality, the Dodgers could reacquire him after if he tanks in Boston for the first half of the year. That's the type of situation he's in. If we would have signed him to a 4-year contract and he's not the same guy post injury, and you're not getting that fiery Walker Buehler that you saw in the postseason, that is where
You get set back.
you get another setback. That's where you start to lose people again in a different sense. Like, oh, we gave this. You don't want the 4-year contract with a hurt pitcher being. You don't want him being compared to Ubaldo.
Yeah.
Because then this fan base is that fickle, and they don't forget shit.
Yeah.
Chris, I agree with you that it puts us in a great spot. Sasaki and Lopez puts us in a great spot. Eflin, Sasaki, Lopez, G-Rod. That's all well and good, but we're still in the AL East, my man.
Yeah,
we're still in a very, very, very good division. And
I would have to load the bullpen up. You would Tanner have to, Scott, Minter.
Yeah, you have to go. Then if you make that happen, Tanner Scott is a necessity.
Yeah.
Now you're looking at going to Tanner Scott after trading him 4 years ago and saying, "Hey, we need you, my man." Yep. Because another big unknown is you don't know what you're getting out of the Felix.
Yeah, nobody knows if he's throwing 98, 99, 100 mile an hour again.
Is anybody really suspecting him to throw 103 again? This isn't a video game where you can just go have him go out there and cock back and throw it his hardest. The man hasn't thrown a meaningful pitch since the 2022 season or the 2023 season.
22.
Yeah, 22. I'm sorry. Yeah. So he hasn't thrown a meaningful pitch in years.
No, it was 23. You're right.
Yeah, 23.
Yeah.
He hasn't thrown a meaningful pitch in years. We don't trust Cano. Coulomb is gone for right now. I mean, they say that the door's open, but I think that door might be open on the Orioles side and not Coulomb's side. Yeah. You look at this now.
Nobody knows.
It's such an unknown.
I just don't want them to go into the season fully trusting Dominguez to be the guy if Felix isn't the guy. I like Dominguez, but I don't think that he is a ninth inning guy.
Dominguez shouldn't even see anything besides like the sixth. He should be that bridge guy to get you from the sixth to the seventh if your starter fizzles out. You know, he's the bridge guy. He's not an eighth inning guy. He's not a high stress moment guy.
The arm is there to do it. I just don't know if it's the mentality is there.
Now
if that makes sense.
You're right. And what Hyde said about him hitting 100, I'm going to just say this. I believe Brandon Hyde in the offseason the way I believe John Harbaugh in the season.
For injury reports.
For injury and for recovery. Come on. No. I with what Randall just said, Jack Flaherty. If Jack Flaherty is our ace, we are in trouble. The man came here and did damage to that clubhouse.
He did. I've heard some radio reports about that.
And here's the thing: the number one person that reports it is Lock and Four. Now, everybody knows I'm not a Lock and Four guy. I detest him, but most days I actually get upset when I agree with him about some things because I'm agreeing with an idiot. Flaherty is going to come here expecting to be paid like an ace while not pitching like an ace. I fully 100% believe Flaherty's numbers in Los Angeles were the Los Angeles Dodgers factor in the whole thing. When you're playing on a team that's got Freddie Freeman, Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Teoscar Hernandez hitting in your lineup, and then you got that bullpen's filthy, the closer's filthy. Like, buddy, me and you could go out there and win 5 games at the end of the year for them.
Just get through 5 innings.
Right. I
will say I somewhat agree with this statement. I feel like Jack was salty that he got traded. Wasn't performing well in St. Louis. He had been there his entire career. You know, I really don't think he wanted to go anywhere. and he was pissy. And he came here in that first start. He did great. And then it was
Then he
just
got lit
like,
up. He got lit up.
and they got lit up once. And I think the attitude kind of maybe came out.
General soreness.
We don't know for sure what happened in the locker room, but
And we're never going to know.
Yeah, but I can about promise you that he was salty, and it might not be who he is, and he could come here and gel with the young guys because he did go to Detroit, and Detroit also has a young team, and we heard nothing.
Speaking
No
of
attitude
Detroit,
problems, no nothing.
Speaking of Detroit, Randall, do the O's go all out this year for Burnes?
Scooball's not leaving.
He's not leaving Detroit.
Uh-uh.
Detroit is where we want to be.
Mm.
Their suckage is over. They got a good young core. I believe they signed somebody this offseason, haven't they?
Not yet. I don't think so.
Okay. Well, anyway,
They don't have many holes.
Scooball's your reigning Cy Young award winner.
Yeah, he's not leaving. I mean, they
He's
showed
not.
that back with like Verlander and all those guys, and
Scooball is their Verlander of this generation.
yeah, he's not leaving. I mean, they paid Verlander, Scherzer, and Porcello, and he's not leaving. They have
one
money
that's
when
gonna
they
get
want
paid.
to.
Yep. And that's where I'm at with that.
That's the difference.
he is not leaving Detroit. He is in Detroit blue and orange.
Yeah.
For the next 5 to 10 years.
So let's get back to this other question that we had here. Question number 2. If you miss out on Corbin Burnes, how do you, we'll just say just this year, right? You plan on spending $40 to $50 million on him. How do you replace that $40 million, or do you just eat it and wait?
You can't wait. You can't eat it. If you're going to spend it, you need to go give half of that to
on what?
Tanner Scott.
Okay, I like that.
If you're not going to invest in this rotation and you're going to trot out Dean Kramer and Cade Povich and Albert Suarez as your 3, 4, and 5, and you're going to try and convince this fan base that Eflin and G-Rod can anchor this rotation, and then you're going to have Sugano in there fighting for 3, 4, or 5, and if that is what you're going to do to this fan base and try to sell this as chicken shit being made into chicken salad, you got to go and buy some bullpen arms. Detroit getting Santander there. Joe saying go get Jordan Montgomery.
It's a good question. Moose, I'll be dead honest with you. For the right price, and the Orioles have the right price, a lot of guys are available. It's just going to come down to, can Mike say yes? They could go get Jared Jones right now if they really wanted to, or Mitch Keller. If they really, really wanted to, Pittsburgh came out and flat out said they want Heston Kjerstad. Build the package. It's there if you want it to be there. Pablo Lopez right there. Start the conversation with Kobe Mayo. I'm at that point. I really like Kobe. I think he's got a fuck ton of power. Excuse my French. But when it comes down, if you can't sign Burnes, you're going to have to pull the Band-Aid off real hard, real fast. And you're going to have to make some kind of move. And it's going to be with one of those two players.
Now, here's the thing. Heston Kjerstad, okay. That Pittsburgh wants Heston. That conversation is starting with Jared Jones.
Yes. I wouldn't trade Heston for Mitch Keller.
No. If Mitch Keller is the focal point to that phone call about Heston needs to hurry up and end.
And end. Yeah. I'm with that.
Now if Pablo Lopez is where you want to go, and Mountcastle is, I'm sorry, not Mountcastle, Mayo. If Mayo is your starting point, maybe offer Mountcastle.
I don't think Mountcastle moves the needle right now.
He might not. But the biggest selling point for me with Mountcastle is he is Gold Glove defense. He's got some pop, but he's Gold Glove defense. Now, I will say this.
I'll buy a Real Madrid hat.
Now, I will say this, though. And I'm saying this with absolute seriousness and sincerity. If Mountcastle gets moved in any deal, the very next day, if not the same day, the Orioles need to be on the phone with Alonso.
That's an interesting. We're going to get to that. It's in our topics. We'll get to that. I'll leave you. Let's move on because I know you want to talk about that.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, but that's in our top. I have a whole slide against it. That's why I want to save that.
I want to know what Joe was saying about over my dead body.
He's a Heston's an Arkansas guy. Joe's a woo pig. It's all about woo pig.
Oh well, okay. The O's trade for Alcantara.
Where was that
Pay
at?
Scherzer.
Oh, I wouldn't mind. You and I we talked about this plenty. We wouldn't mind Scherzer for a year.
Scherzer.
Here's $20 million. Come
Yeah.
teach our guys how to throw the ball in October.
Yep.
I don't care.
Or how to have them not act like assholes. You know.
Yeah. Well, Scherzer is an asshole, and I like that. Like, don't crowd his plate. Don't crowd the plate. Yeah, he's
don't
coming
crowd
in.
the plate. You're not going to talk shit at us.
Yep.
Yep.
He's old school, and Grayson is that guy. Grayson is that guy that could benefit from Max Scherzer and learn to pitch that way. Grayson has that fire, just like Max. Get off my plate. Here comes 99, and then I'm going to break you off with a slider away.
But with the Marlins for Alcantara,
that's going to start with Mayo.
Yeah.
Even though he's coming off an injury, it's still going to start with Mayo.
Or they're going to do something ridiculous and ask for Bradfield. You know, even
see ya. That's how I feel about that.
I mean,
I love Bradfield, but you've got 5 other really good center fielders that are just as fast behind him. You've got Overn, you've got Honeycutt, you've got Nate George. I forget the other kid's name, so maybe it's only 4, but still, like, I would cut my loss for that. I wouldn't want to, but I would.
I really want, I want a lot of the fan base that prides themselves on these Orioles prospects. At this point, this is all they are, is prospects. Now, I love Heston Kjerstad as much as the next guy. I think Heston's a 35, 40 home run guy when he gets 500 at bats.
Yep.
But if he can net us Jarrett Jones in a trade,
oh yeah,
have fun in Pittsburgh, buddy. You know, that's my thought process. And if Kobe has to be the center of a Pablo Lopez deal,
Joe, a lot of people don't know Tavian. A lot of people don't know Tavian. Tavian plays center field. Tavian plays second base.
Is Birdland calling Alonzo Davis 2.0?
Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. And at the surface, I could potentially see it, but then when you look into the numbers, you're like, okay. But we'll get to it.
Okay.
What do you mean too young? Come on, I remember Jeffrey Hammonds. Hammonds was good. Bradfield's gonna be good too.
Jeffrey Hammonds, he was number 11, right?
Something like that.
Yeah.
But so we need to get to this Alonzo. So let me get to the next one real quick. Is there room?
Yes.
Think so?
First base. If you trade Mountcastle, make him the first baseman.
Now he's not that good right-handed.
He's still Santander.
Okay.
If you're telling me that we can get Santander in this lineup and he hits another 40 plus,
I'm with it.
But if you bring Santander back, get his ass out of the outfield.
Yep.
Or you just tell him, hey, you're a DH, buddy.
No. Have you looked at the DH numbers?
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying. Like he can't play the outfield.
I agree.
He can't.
Not over what's there right now.
Like right now, opening day, Kowser needs to be out there. Kjerstad needs to be out there. And O'Neill needs to be out there.
I think Mullins earned his spot. He hit 286 in the second half.
Zach,
hey,
you're talking about 3 months of hitting as opposed to what we've seen from him the last 4 years.
I know. I will give him the benefit of the doubt to start.
I'm not.
I know.
But it's not out of a malicious place. And I want people that are watching this show to understand this too and understand my reasoning for it. You're talking about all these prospects and all these young guys that we got that are ready. What is Cedric Mullins doing right now that the other guys that are waiting cannot do.
I'm with you on that.
Everybody's going to say the defense. Cowser isn't a drop off in center field defensively.
Not whatsoever.
None.
He's potentially an upgrade, actually. When you look at the baseball savant pages,
he's faster, he's taller, he's got more range, he's got a good break on the ball. So what we got to get over this nostalgia of names. You got to get over this.
That's the only thing that I would hang my hat on, potentially.
Yeah.
Potentially.
But here's the thing. Are you going to wait another 3 or 4 months slump where he's hitting his body weight?
No, I think he gets the Austin Hayes treatment. I think he begins the year as the starter and hey, buddy, your leash is short.
But the thing is, he doesn't deserve that.
Yeah. I mean, Austin didn't either, but he got outplayed.
They need to have a real frank conversation with him, like right now. And what is his expectations? What is their expectations? Because you didn't, if Mullins was going to be our center fielder this year and beyond, we don't have a need for signing Tyler O'Neill.
I agree.
Because if you're going to go in right field with Kjerstad, so where does O'Neill fit into that?
Yeah,
he doesn't. So to me, there's some writing on the wall for Mullins, because if I'm a betting man, that opening day outfield is going to be some form of O'Neill and Kjerstad in the corners and Cowser in center field.
Yeah.
So
it really depends. So I mean, they're playing Boston, right? So if Crochet is on a mound, O'Neill's 1,000% going to be in left field or right field. What are the other? But right. Cowser's going to be in center field. Cowser hits left-handers better.
So 30 is not old for an everyday player, but looking at the dynamic of this team, 30 is old.
30 is generally when a center fielder starts to move to the left. Generally. Not all the time, just generally. There's no room for Cedric Mullins in left field.
Mullins is not the type of player that you play once a week. He will not benefit from sitting on the bench 4 nights a week. So,
I 1,000% agree with that.
He's not that type of veteran yet. Talk to me in 3 years.
Yeah.
If he's still an Oriole at the age of 33, 34, yeah. Give you a spark off the bench, give you a good late game defensive replacement in the corner outfields.
Yeah.
Okay. I hear you. But
he's better than having to watch Joey Rickard as your fourth outfielder. I will say that.
Yeah.
But
if we're not going to sign Tony, the thing is, Trout should not even be playing the outfield anymore.
No, he shouldn't. You got to keep him healthy.
Give Trout a first baseman mitt. And it sounds insane to say that, because Trout is this generation's Ken Griffey Jr. in terms of longevity.
Your new best friend, Matt.
Huh?
It's your new best friend.
Man, fuck him. Yeah, Randall, I'm with you, buddy. If you're new to this page,
he watches my stuff a lot.
Okay, well, if he needs to go back and see the immediate aftermath of us talking about Brandon Hyde after another sweep, because
Matt, Brandon Hyde and Matt are best friends. Matt will go and
the way you love Gary Sanchez.
Yes. Matt gets very
animated.
Yeah. All right, so I think we both can agree there. If you could find the way to re-sign Tony, I am with Moose, though. I wouldn't mind spending that money on some pitching.
Now that's the thing is, if you don't sign Tony, you need to allocate that money and bring in somebody worth that money.
Tanner Scott or Burnes.
Correct. If you're not going to bring back Santander, I want to see an alert on my phone that says the Orioles agree to a 4-year, $80 million deal with Tanner Scott.
Yeah.
Real all simple, right. Smooth.
Let's get into it. Pete versus Mountie. And who should stay and who should go, right? This is Pete's stats since 2023. They're okay. They're not, nothing jumps off the board here. The OPS is pretty decent.
80 home runs does.
80 home runs is good. The Ks are a lot. The average sucks, right? And this is where I could potentially see the Chris Davis 2.0 conversation.
Well,
except for he still hits. But this is the comparison of the two of them since 2023. 31 home runs for a 26, 27-year-old is not good.
Now, okay.
But I like the runners in scoring position.
Chop off that average.
Which one?
No,
229?
No, look at everything from RBI on down and tell me who you'd rather have.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I understand the average, but the thing is, 31 home runs in 2 years is an average of 15 home runs. Your first baseman cannot.
He hit 13
hitting,
last year.
Okay, so that means the year before he hit 18.
And he's missed 60 games in the last 2 years? Mountcastle has?
Right. Yeah. So if that average is what's going to sway a lot. Okay, Moose. Yeah. Here's the thing that we talked about in previous shows. At some point, you have to sacrifice defense for offense.
A little bit.
And
now, as long as it's not a giant drop off.
It's not. I don't think it'd be a giant drop off.
Neither.
But if you're telling me that Alonso doesn't hit 35 or 40 home runs playing 81 games in Oriole Park, I wouldn't believe you. Yeah. I think if you put Alonso in this lineup, will he hit 230?
Probably.
Probably. But will he have 40 home runs and 101, 105 RBIs?
He's averaging 103 the last 2 years. And this was 2023. The Mets had shit in that lineup.
He would be in a more protected lineup. He would probably be hitting behind Gunnar and Adley, and he would probably be hitting in front of Westberg.
We don't have a 3 or 4 hitter right now.
We don't
at all.
So if you pencil in Pete Alonso, I'm cool with that. To me, Mountcastle and Mullins are in the same boat.
If they're there, okay. And if they're not, okay. That's how I feel about it.
But the thing is, we're holding on to them, and it's almost sentimental.
Yeah.
Too sentimental. We're talking about winning baseball games. We're talking about being competitive. Mullins and Mountcastle don't fit what we're going to be doing with this core. They are not in that core 4. 5 if you include Grayson. They don't project to be long-term productive baseball players for this team.
Yeah.
You cannot tell me right now that you're going to look at 2026, 2 years from now. The guys are coming up on their free agency, their arbitration. The window goes from this to this to this to this to this, or you're going to risk losing these guys. This is our World Series window while these guys are still on their rookie deals.
So let me. I had to pull this up because I like Pete's numbers, right, and it got me thinking. I just wanted to see what you do in the 8th and 9th inning. Mountcastle's terrible, 217, 2 home runs in 190 at-bats since 2023. So 13 RBIs when the game matters and almost 200 at-bats. Pete's not a whole lot better on the average-wise, 233, but he's got 36 RBIs and 200 at-bats with 15 home runs.
You can't coach clutch.
Exactly.
This team needs clutch. They need an identity.
But
Alonso is a bulldog.
Strikeouts. 66 strikeouts to Pete, 40 to Ryan. I got to pull the runners in scoring position on this one.
Birdland, that's a little facetious, my man. Like, we're not talking about a generational first base defensive glove. Mounties good.
I like this. Runners in scoring position, 8th and 9th inning. Pete Alonso hits 267 and 76 at bats with 22 RBIs and 3 home runs. So when the game is on the line, Pete delivers.
You want him at the plate.
Yes.
Now, Mountcastle in the 8th and 9th inning, when you see him coming up to bat with runners in scoring position, you're like, shit.
Typically strikes out. Now, he only had 12. He's at 47 at bats in the last 2 years. He only has 12 Ks. But I'm pretty sure we all
That's
know
25% of your at bats.
We know those 12 Ks too, though. We know them. We know.
My bad. I missed the LOL, Birdland. My bad. Yeah.
So yeah, 20. Yeah. So Pete strikes out 28.9% of the time in the 8th and 9th, Mountie at 23. But the difference here is Pete walks 19% of the time. Ryan 5.
It's all about getting people on base.
Yes.
It's all about scoring runs. That's the name of this game.
Yep.
Score more runs than the other team. Alonso,
I'm a Mountcastle fan. I think he is going to have a better year. But if I have the chance to really upgrade my offense, and a guy who has hit big time in big time situations in big time games against big time arms in the NL East, not like that's just a shit division over there.
yeah,
Like he's facing the Phillies all the time. He's facing the Braves all the time. You know, they get to face the Dodgers. He's been there, and he's a veteran, and he's got that swagger assholeness to him.
yeah. He's another dog.
Yes.
And the thing is, you need that on this baseball team.
Pete Alonso beats Brandon Hyde out of the dugout in that Yankees fight.
Yeah, he's getting a 4 or
Plain and
5 game
simple.
suspension.
Yes.
Probably getting fined.
Not waiting on Ryan O'Hearn to kind of make his way over after Brandon Hyde's there.
Scherzer is in that dude's grill.
Scherzer's spearing somebody.
Right. I'm not saying that we need a bunch of badasses on this team, but this team lacks identity.
Yeah. My buddy's a Yankees fan, and I'll be dead honest with you. He trolls me all the time. He's like, look, it was right around that time when that brawl was going on. He said, the Orioles have absolutely nobody that scare you in the dugout. I said, what do you mean? You know, O'Hearn's a big dude, and, you know, Gunnar, I mean, we've seen Gunnar go kind of batshit crazy a little bit, and he's like, they're not going to do anything. And the Yankees know that we can punk you, and you're not going to do anything.
Let's take it back to this team 10 years ago. You didn't want to mess with Markakis. You didn't want to mess with Jones. You didn't want to mess with Hardy.
Trumbo.
You didn't want to mess with Trumbo or Davis.
Scope.
Yeah.
Machado.
Yeah. I mean, Machado was the chirper, but the thing is, there's some real men on this team. Now you want to take it back.
Dude, Scope. A lot of people didn't know Scope's arms were like this big.
Yeah.
he's Tyler O'Neill.
Yeah.
That's how big Scope was. And people didn't realize it because he was a massive man. I played with Scope when he was 16. And he was a twig. And when I seen him get to the big leagues and he was just yoked, dude, it was incredible.
But let's take it back even farther. You weren't fucking with Moose.
No.
Jimmy Keys, Scott Erickson, David Wells,
Tommy Hunter,
Hoyles.
Yeah.
You know, were you gonna mess with Palmeiro or Robbie?
No. Hell no.
No. Are you gonna mess with Hammonds? No. You're not gonna mess with any of those dudes. Like, we had some grit. This team is athletic, but there's no substance.
They're very nice. They're nice kids.
And the thing is, you need a couple of the rowdy dudes to get it up in this clubhouse and get them straight. And
Grayson's right there too, in my opinion. Grayson needs that guy to kind of guide him how to be a bulldog without being an ass.
Right. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to equate this to the Baltimore Ravens for 1 second. I'm not going to go on a long thing. I know we're talking baseball. 2012, when the Ravens won their Super Bowl, the guys they had in that locker room, Ray, Ed, Sizzle, Yonda, Bernard Pollard,
mess with them.
Ed Reed, Kruger, Haloti. There was a lot of tough, Jameel McLean, a lot of tough, knock them down in your face, rough dudes. And then the years that proceeded, proceeded after that, you had no identity. The attitude was gone, and we had those years where we all, quite frankly, thought Harbaugh was going to get fired.
Yeah.
And now you got, like Moose was saying, all the corn-fed Southern boys, Bolden, another dude, and then you started bringing in guys like Steve Smith. Then you started bringing in guys like Marcus Peters, Calais Campbell, Roquan Smith.
No, he wasn't.
No, Ricard wasn't on. No, Ricard's only got like 6 or 7 years in the league. So that's what I'm equating it to.
Yeah,
like,
they're getting it back.
You need to have an aura about you.
I mean, think about it too. Linderbaum and Rosengarten.
Alan Ricard. He's talking about Alan Ricard.
Yeah.
Alan Ricard was on the 2000 team, and so was and Sam Gash was on the 2000 team, I believe.
Yeah. But yeah, Rosengarten and Linderbaum, you ain't punking them around. They're going to get up in your face. The O's need a little bit of spice.
Yep.
Need a little bit of spice. They need, look, I love Bradish. I think Bradish is great. He's not going to command the inside part of the zone, right? He's not going to look you in the face and tell you shut the fuck up. Excuse my French.
Scherzer is going to brush you off the plate. I was just reading his comment.
I wouldn't hate it.
Oh no, I would take Machado back here in a heartbeat.
I think Machado has matured since he's left here, and I think he still has that mentality, that winner's mentality to him.
Yeah, I think if you lose Burnes and you manage to bring back Machado, I think that lessens the blow, so to speak. But this team needs some guys that, as the young kids say, they need a couple crash outs that are going to be willing to come in here and say and do whatever. Scherzer throwing inside. Okay, come out here and fight me. If you don't,
let me ask you about this next one then.
Yes, I'll tell you why. It's not just the offense. It's not his numbers. He wins. Yeah. He has been a World Series champion 2 or 3 times over. You need that atmosphere, and you need to bring guys in here that have been there. Nobody on this current team right now has been there.
Yep. He's a 271 hitter against the AL East since 2022. I'd take that in a heartbeat. 271. I mean, even if runners are scoring position against the AL East, 252. Like,
now the problem you have with Bregman is this infield is incredibly crowded.
Put him at second.
Then where do you put Jackson?
Center field. Call today.
Okay.
Trey Mullins.
There you go. That's what I'm looking for. I was waiting for the domino effect.
Yeah.
Now
there's going to be a domino effect somewhere.
Yeah, there's going to be a domino effect.
We can get back to that.
Yeah, we'll get back to that.
Yeah.
Now here's what I'm saying. Bregman is a different domino effect because now you're talking about putting one of these guys in the outfield.
Yeah.
Now we've talked about this before. The 2 guys that have the athletic ability are Westberg and Holiday.
Yeah. I think you get more out of Holiday, in my opinion.
But now
you're talking because he's more of a natural athlete. He's faster. Jordan has a better arm, sure, but you're basically just upgrading Mullins at this point.
Yep.
And we watched Adam Jones make the transition from shortstop to center field. I'd say Adam Jones had a pretty damn good career, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Probably going into the Orioles Hall of Fame.
Now, another thing is, if you bring in Bregman, do you say, hey, instead of third, what about first?
Anywhere. And that's the thing with him is, okay, you have options now, right? So right now your options in the infield, if somebody needs a break, are Jorge Mateo and Ramon Urias.
Westy's too athletic to play first base, in my opinion.
Yeah. I would rather have my infield, if someone needs a break, be Jordan Westberg, Jackson Holiday, because I have other guys, right? Westberg can play short, second, or third. Bregman could play third, second, and probably could learn first base pretty easily. Jackson can play short and second. I like my chances better now than having Ramon Urias just playing third or first. I know we've seen him one time in left field, but Bregman brings in more dynamic to the roster, to the infield, to the lineup. Because we just talked about we don't have a 3 or 4 hitter. So I don't know. What do you think?
Bregman hits 45 home runs in Camden Yards.
At his age now, probably not. I would say maybe 20.
I'm saying for the year, but I'm saying he hits a good portion of them in Camden Yards. If you're moving left field and you're making it a porch again, Bregman benefits. Because Houston, it might be a short porch, but you got to get lift on the ball.
Yeah.
Because of the tall wall.
Yeah. AJ Hinch, where did he just go? He was just in the playoffs.
Not here.
Is he in Kansas City?
I believe so.
I got to look this up. I'm pretty sure he's Kansas City. Detroit. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
He was just in the playoffs. I knew he was in the playoffs. I mean, look, I like Bregman a lot. Look, you and I have talked about it a lot. Ramon Urias, Jorge Mateo, or Emmanuel Rivera. Like, that's your backup infield, one of those guys. Now, obviously, Mateo kind of gives you a little bit more than something else, but Ramon's your better hitter. I would just be I'd feel so much better if it was Bregman. And then you're rotating Westy around the infield a little bit rather than Ramon Urias or Jorge Mateo. Like, I like Mateo. Don't get me wrong. Like, he's on the team, cool. But I'm with you. He's in that mold of Mullins and Mountcastle. If he's here, cool. If he's not, cool. Like, I'm at that point.
Yep.
I'm at that point where I don't hold sentimental value to many players. Some of them, yes, but not many of them. And I just want to win. And I feel like if you upgraded Jorge Mateo with Bregman, you're ready and showing people you're ready to win.
I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna agree with you. I want to win. I have been fortunate enough in my lifetime to see the Ravens win 2 Super Bowls. I have not in my lifetime seen the Orioles play in, let alone win a World Series. They need to do this. They've got to make some moves. If you're not going to go get Corbin, if you can get Bregman and Tanner Scott, I'll be
that to me puts us in a good spot. I know there's some people that think that right now the O's are in a bad position and they're probably the 3rd best team in the AL East. And
they might be right.
They could be, but Boston, I think people just kind of look at big names and then just quickly kind of submit everything else. Like, Boston hasn't done anything to upgrade their offense, and their offense wasn't that good.
It's not about the upgrades or the lack thereof. It's about we're losing, but we're not bringing anything in to replace what we're losing.
Right. But one or two guys puts us right back there.
It does. Now, here's the thing. When is the last time any Orioles fan that's in this chat has seen 20,000 people at the ballpark on a Wednesday night?
Been a long time.
And that's been happening consistently for the last couple of years.
I want to say it's been since 2014.
Right. So you're talking
2014.
You're talking about 10 years that people are foregoing sleep and rest and family time to go watch the Orioles play the, Toronto Blue Jays at 6:35 on a Wednesday night. If you let Burnes walk and you don't bring back Santander, Bregman doesn't come here, and you don't bring in Tanner Scott, and you go into the season pretty much with what you've got right now, that 20,000 on a Wednesday night is going to be 5 or 7.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And it's not going to happen over the course of a couple of years. It's going to be immediate.
Oh, yeah.
This fan base wants to win.
Yep.
And they want a winning product. You sold us this oasis of, trust the process. This is a rebuild. We're going to have good guys coming up. Now they're here. And now the philosophy has been buy the arms, grow the bats. and you have not bought the arms to go with the bats that you've grown.
Yeah. I'm with you.
It's not happening, and I, for one, do not see it getting any better for us if we don't make the moves that are necessary to keep these people coming back and to give us hope. All we want is a little bit of hope.
I'm 100% with you, and they need a needle mover, in my opinion.
Burnes is a needle mover.
Burnes is a needle mover. Pete is a needle mover. Alex is a needle mover.
Sasaki is.
Sasaki, yes.
If
I do want to shout out people over on TikTok. It doesn't able to pull it into Restream yet for me to put your guys' comments on the screen, but I do see you guys, Rye Jam and Blue Eyed Chick. I appreciate you guys stopping in. I didn't want to kind of leave you ignored over there. Sorry, Matt.
You're fine.
Now, let me ask you about Profar. What are your thoughts on Profar? Is he a needle mover? Is he a needle mover over Santander?
No.
Okay.
Because Santander is the devil you know.
Yes. And he's had some big home runs.
And Profar is on a career resurgence, quote unquote. But is Profar going to come off the West Coast and arguably a tougher division in the AL East?
Yep.
And is he going to hit 301?
No.
Go to the All-Star game? No.
Nope.
So to me, he's an outfielder. So who are you? Are you taking Mullins out of center field and putting Profar in right field or left field? So that means you're putting O'Neill in right field.
Yep.
So
which I'd be okay with.
So now you're going to platoon O'Neill and Kjerstad?
I think that's probably going to be the play regardless, just because O'Neill sucks against right-handed pitching and Kjerstad crushes it.
Correct.
But it just depends. I mean, look, he thinks he's going to play every day, and he's probably going to get the chance for a month or two. But we know Brandon Hyde. We've seen Brandon Hyde. He's going to platoon Tyler O'Neill.
Yeah.
He platoons everybody. It doesn't matter. Until somebody takes the bull by the horn and earns their playing time, you're getting platooned.
So Birdland brings up Freddie Peralta. Would I
rather have Freddie Peralta? He's not getting moved. He's getting a large deal.
Now, here's the thing. They're not going to want two mid-level guys. They're not going to want an Ortiz and a Hall.
That's going to take Jackson Holiday.
That's going to take Holiday, or it's going to take Kjerstad and Mateo. Mayo.
Yeah. Or Kjerstad and Westberg.
Yeah. And to me, right now, with all the hype around Jackson Holiday, under no circumstance am I trading him. Because I want to see 162 games out of this kid.
Yeah.
He's 21 years old.
I forget the guy's name for the Phillies, but he came up and he was like supposed to be like the next big thing, and he sucked like bad. And they kept trying him and trying him and trying him, and he sucked. Went to the next organization and he sucked. I gotta find that guy's name. But it was bad. And look, I don't think Jackson's gonna be bad. I just, like you said before, they're just prospects. They have to earn it. It can happen. It has happened, and it's not like it doesn't not happen often. It happens a lot. So one of these guys is eventually not going to pan out. We've struck gold so far. We've had four of them that have, Adley, Gunnar, Westberg, and Kauser that have been really good. We're going to miss eventually. It might be one of the guys we have right now.
But right now they're all producing.
Yes.
And you gotta temper that expectation that they're all gonna be Gunnar and Adley and Westberg.
Yep.
They gotta do something. If we come on air in a month and Burnes is a Boston Red Sox pitcher and Sasaki is a Padre and Tanner Scott's a Yankee.
And you're really getting after it.
But I'm just saying, like, hyperbole, obviously,
Yeah.
they will have lost me.
Yeah.
As I'm not saying I'm not going to watch. I'm not saying I'm not going to listen. I'm a diehard. I'm going to put myself through this misery anyway. I don't know if we can afford as a fan base. You just reeled them back in.
Yep.
You've just won 191 games the last 2 years.
Was it Mickey?
I think it was Nick Apple.
Apple was one of them. He wasn't the Phillies though. I'm actually looking it up right now. And I can't find him, but
You got anything else on the agenda?
No, I don't. I've just been sitting here looking at free agents and like what could move the needle for this team, but I think we're pretty much in agreement. It's got to be Tanner Scott, or I mean, I would probably take Carlos Estevez. That wouldn't move the needle for me, but I'd be excited for him. AJ Minter, I would be highly excited for. I mean, there's some other guys, but I think at this point, I mean, yeah. I don't know if they're going to be willing to do that, Moose, to be honest. I think they're really excited to get him back.
Yeah, I think Milwaukee's done dealing with us.
Yeah. I mean, look, they got a good return. I think they're very happy with their return. I just think that Brandon was a better clubhouse fit, and it's a guy that they probably would rather try to extend rather than Corbin Burnes was.
Yeah, you're not going to trade every starter you have to Baltimore on their contract year.
Yeah. It's very possible, Brendan. It's very possible.
I would be pissed. Yeah. I would be pissed.
Yeah, I think
under
I probably
no circumstance, because the thing is, what they would want for Cease
for 1 year.
For 1 year, the only way I even think about trading our one of our top 5 or 10 prospects to the Padres is if he comes here with a guaranteed extension.
Yeah, then I'd be okay with it.
If they give a window for his agent to come up with a 5-year, $150 million extension, whatever the hell they're getting these days, then I might talk to him. But to have the ability to go through this shit with Burnes,
that guy,
Burnes and Cease and back-to-back off seasons, no thanks. Hard pass.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
I mean, at the end of the day, though, we don't know if these prospects are going to pan out. And if one of them pans out for another organization, that is luck of the draw. But if we have a chance to get proven arms in here, you have to do it.
Yep. Scotty Kingery, he only hit 30 career home runs and 1,000 at bats to hit 229. But he was supposed to be really freaking good.
I just don't see why we hold on to these prospects. The prospects that we wanted to hold on to were all at the major league level now.
Two more.
Probably
Bradfield, probably May. Well, and Basayo, I'm sorry. 3 more.
Basayo is the only one. Now, here's the thing. Basayo doesn't need to go anywhere because
Adley will be 30.
Adley will be 30, and I think losing Adley would crush spirits, but knowing Basayo was coming right behind him makes that bearable.
I would be happy. That would needle move me. That would needle move.
That would needle move me, but here's the thing. I'm going to raise the stakes for that. Scott and Bregman make me happy. Scott, Bregman, and Sasaki make me really happy.
Yes, because it checks all the boxes.
Yep. Right. And Brendan is saying, what about actually spending? We're not. See,
there's a lot of things involved to spend the money. Like, it's not just, hey, here's $180 million. Do you want it? Like, it's the wife has to say yes.
Are you going to uproot your family? Are you going to?
The difference is, so put yourself in Corbin Burnes' shoes, right? He just had twins in July or June, July, whatever it was. He lives in Arizona. He has a chance to pitch in San Francisco. And why I say that, look, San Francisco doesn't play in the AL East. He doesn't have to play Aaron Judge and Stanton and Tristan Casas and Rafael Devers and Vlad and Bo Bichette. You know, I understand that Tampa probably doesn't have a thumper right now, but Tampa develops well. He gets to go to San Francisco. It has a ginormous ballpark. Ginormous. It's very hard to hit a home run there. And it's warm. It's a 40-minute flight home. Wife and kids can come out and see him all the time. They could offer him $400 million. And if he just doesn't want to be here, he's not coming. And I think a lot of fans just ignore that. Like they just say, oh, well, they got to spend money. It's not. They probably try
to take the money.
Yeah. And look, Corbin, it's not 100% confirmed, but it was confirmed with Vladdy. Vladdy was offered $325 million by the Blue Jays. Now, the rumor for Corbin was it was $275 from the Blue Jays. Neither one of them took it. Now, again,
Because
Corbin's was rumored, but just because the money's there doesn't mean the player wants to be there, right? You have to pay double the taxes to play in Canada. You're paying your normal state and federal right here in the U.S., and then you have to pay another 33% tax in Canada after you pay the tax in the U.S. So these guys are losing. I think somebody did like a thing. If you get $32 million a year, you're only taking home 14. Now,
that's
14 is still a lot of money, but you're losing $18 million just in taxes. Who wants to play for them?
Nobody.
And
that's why nobody big goes there.
Right. Now, taxes are hell in San Francisco. I get it, but a lot of things come into play, like a lot. And some of you guys might be too young, but the whole Grant Balfour thing.
Yep.
The O's tried to get him years ago, and there was a failed physical. But a failed physical is his wife didn't want to come here. Like he failed the physical because his wife didn't want him to come here.
This is a hard sell. A lot of people that are wanting us to spend. Now, Brendan, I'm gonna just say this to you. I don't know if you're in Baltimore. I don't know if you're even in Maryland.
Money does talk. It does.
But here's
sometimes.
the thing. You have to sell them on more than just this team.
Yep.
You can sell Adley and Gunnar and Westy and G-Rod. You can sell the atmosphere. You can sell the clubhouse. You can sell the fun. But in all reality, you have to move your family to Baltimore.
Right. Or somewhere close.
Or somewhere in
Virginia. Virginia's not a cheap.
So, number one, Maryland's expensive. Number two, Baltimore's reputation on a national stage is that of drugs, guns, violence, and murders.
Right. And he has a 3-year-old and 2 newborn twins and a wife that has to do that by herself pretty much most of the season.
And where is Oriole Park? It's sandwiched in between Camden Yards and a casino.
Yeah.
And then you're talking about four or five city blocks from that is the block. And you're talking about the crime of downtown. The thing is, this is stuff that people don't think about.
Yeah.
Okay, we might offer Burnes $45 million a year. In Maryland, that's going to be around 27 or 25 or whatever it might be. All that plays a factor. But now you're going to have to live here.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to deal with the everything that comes with it. You're going to be able to have the money to afford whatever school you want, but you're going to have to worry about
getting them there.
Getting them here. And convincing his wife and her family and your family that is Baltimore or Maryland in general going to be safe and welcoming for the next half decade.
Brendan, that the only bad part about that is if the money is close enough, you're going to go where you don't have to deal with it. think about it. If you're getting, let's say Baltimore offers 45 a year and San Francisco gets you at 40, right? You're still going to pay a little bit less, but now San Francisco's probably pretty as bad as Baltimore in certain areas, but the ballpark's not, right? So
he's right. A lot of rich people live here, but where do they live?
not in Baltimore City.
Not in Baltimore City and not even in Baltimore County.
Yeah.
A lot of them are in Carroll. A lot of them are
Montgomery.
in Montgomery. A lot of them are in PG. A lot of them are in Owings Mills, or they're up in Hampstead.
No.
Yes.
Really?
I think so.
Maybe.
20
Maybe. Oh, today's game. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Okay, Ruxton is right up the road. Ruxton is 5 miles from me. That's where Elias lives. Elias isn't a Major League Baseball player.
Hazard County.
Elias. No, I'll tell you this
Nobody
right now.
knows who he is outside of diehards.
Diehard fans know what Elias looks like. Does anybody in this chat, if they held up a picture of Mike Elias to their family, would they know who that is? No.
Bro, when Tim gave us his
Joe
seats
Radke, that
earlier
is
this
a
year-
goddamn lie. That is a goddamn lie. There is nothing rich in Arbutus but the Sorrento family.
Back in the day, though. Back in the day.
Don't back
Arbutus
in the
was
day
place.
me. Yeah, it was
I'm talking in like the 70s.
Oh, stop it. Stop it. Stop it.
We're St. Joe guys around here, by the way, Brendan.
Yeah, we send your kid to Gilman. Okay. That's all well and good. Gilman is literally on the city-county line. And it's on the city side.
St. Joe's right in the middle of it, baby.
St. Joe, if you send your kid to Mount St. Joe, you got to drive through Edmondson Village to get there if you're coming from the east.
Yep.
You
And
got to
get robbed
drive
at McDonald's.
if you're coming from the west, you got to drive through, Catonsville, which is okay. But if you're coming from anywhere off 695, you got to drive through the hood.
Yep.
We're talking about semantics here. We're talking about a lot of conjecture and a lot of what is. But all I'm trying to say is
there's just factors. There's factors.
There's so many factors outside of, do I want to play with Gunnar Henderson?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I don't blame you for not wanting to go to Gibbons either. They sucked at everything. That's why they're
money does talk. Money does talk. And I 100% get it. And I know the fans want money to be thrown around. And I'm not going to sit here and say the Orioles haven't done it, because they probably have. It's just right now, only 2 guys said yes. And sometimes that's just the reality of it. I mean, we can sit here and say that they're not spending money, but hey, like when the gun shot off, they were quick to sign the guys that they wanted. They identified people they wanted, and they gave them, in my opinion, they overpaid Gary by a lot, but they showed that they were willing to do it. And then Tyler, I mean, some people were complaining they overpaid him, but I mean, you paid $16.5 million for a 2-time Gold Glove player who has a lot of home run power with injury issues, sure, but and you gave out $24 million without even blinking an eye. I'm not going to say that they're not spending money.
So to reply to Brendan, tons of factors, but money makes up for a lot. Corbin Burnes is a West Coast guy. His wife, West Coast. Family, West Coast. And I'm not talking about Cali, West Coast. I'm talking about Arizona, West Coast. Selling them on a city.
A future
in a city that their claim to fame right now for Baltimore is the fact that we might be under 200 murders for the first time in years.
They really said that?
Yeah.
200? Damn, it's like 300 every year.
Right. They're at or around 200 right now. So we got a week left. But a
lot can happen in a week.
Right. But what I'm trying to say is you're convincing people that are used to warm weather almost all year long.
Yeah.
And safer environments for that.
Yeah.
And
It's not easy.
Oriole Park has like everybody in this like stupor because it's such a beautiful ballpark and there's such nice people that work there and it's a great place to watch a game. But the hard factors and the reality of life in Baltimore City literally sit outside the streets of that stadium.
My wife works at Shock Trauma, literally, what was it, a block behind the stadium, maybe 2 blocks. And
you can see people getting life flighted in there almost every single night you're at a ball game.
Every single day. I mean, it's rough, man. It's a rough world out there that a lot of us don't know about. And I mean, and imagine a wife with 2 young kids. I mean, 3 young kids. I'm sorry. Like, that's a tough sell. And I'm not saying that that's the issue or anything like that. I'm just saying there's factors that come into play that just a lot of people just happen to overlook. That's all. Don't fault Mike Elias if he can't re-sign Corbin Burnes. Look, if they come out and they say like, look, San Francisco they just beat them, right? We're going to get pissed. We're going to complain. Look, if that number is over 200 something, 240 something, and they gave a hell of an effort, and it took this long to sign him, this long of a decision making, I am not going to be mad at Mike Elias. I'll be disappointed that we couldn't land the guy because I want him. I'm not going to be mad because, man, when was the last time you heard the Orioles really gave a solid effort for an arm? If they get beat out, they get beat out.
No, you're absolutely right.
It sucks if they do. I hope they don't, but that's the nature of it. It's the reality. I don't know, but hopefully we hear something. I think hopefully we'll probably hear something in the next 3 days, in my opinion.
I hope so too.
About what he does. I think we're going to hear something before the new year. I think Corbin and his family want to pop some bottles on New Year's in the right way with a lot of money.
Yeah,
so
hopefully baby bottles.
They're gonna. Yeah, true. It's a good question, Brendan. It really is. But Mike operates in silence. And I don't hate him for it. I prefer it a little bit. It leaves some fans on edge, and I get it. It just takes one guy to sign.
Reply to Birdland about what Boris was saying. Boris has a half dozen clients in this clubhouse.
No, but he's right though. It's probably been 15 years since Boris. So there was a time period Boris wouldn't even speak to the Orioles.
I know.
Like he wouldn't even answer the phone. And for him to make a positive comment publicly,
he's greasing wheels, bud.
I don't care.
I know. I'm just saying that's what it is. Holiday's a natural center fielder. He could be. He probably is.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how I feel about it. I mean, hey, I don't care how it happens. If Boris is on your side, I'm in a good place. Because it doesn't happen often. And look, if you pull a big one off for Corbin, and we talked about it earlier in the show for some of the people that weren't here, you pull a big one off for Corbin, you're opening that speed dial to Scott Boras and Mike Elias for the 5 other guys that he has on the roster, right now, that you have to sign long term. Westberg, Gunnar, Holiday. There's, I think he has Bradfield. I'm not 100% sure, but he has other prospects of ours too.
Yep.
The phone lines are open finally, and the dialogue will be there. You show him that you're serious. If you really F up this whole Corbin thing and piss him off, what makes him think that when Gunnar comes around, it's going to be any different? Like, he's already going to have a sour taste in his mouth. He's going to go to Gunnar Henderson. They're going to have a dinner one night. He's going to bring up a story of the Corbin Burnes situation and stuff. Like, those things happen. And so a lot's at stake here.
You know better than most.
Yeah. I've been to dinner. I was with Beverly Hills Sports Council. I went to dinner at Albert Pujols. We talked about this stuff. Like, it happens. Like, if you get on the wrong side with the wrong guy, and Scott Boras is the wrong guy, you can F a lot of things up in the future. Mm-hmm. So it's a big deal. And I was a nobody. I just got invited to dinner, thankfully, by Jay Witasick. Shout out to Jay if you ever watch the show. He's a Maryland guy. But I mean, hey, it's a big time for the franchise, in my opinion.
I agree.
Corbin Burnes opens a lot of doors. He also closes a lot of doors, and he checks a lot of boxes. And without it, I feel like we're no better than where we started it. And when this collapse happened in 2016?
Yep.
I feel like you got to start over all again.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be that drastic about it, but you don't sign Corbin Burnes, and I shouldn't say if you don't sign it. If you fuck it up, then you're gonna screw it up for your elite prospects that you currently have.
I agree.
And then you have to start all over because they're not signing here. He had to proofread emails. I'm just kidding. No, they're going on vacation soon.
Yeah, they're going on vacation for the new year. But I did send a kindly worded email to
very kindly
that asked if Tim could come out and play for like a half an hour, and it was a agreed upon thing that he needs to pack. So we're missing Tim, but he'll be back on the next show most likely.
Yep. Randall, I 1,000% agree with you, and I think he brings more than just a bat and a glove too. He brings leadership. He brings mental stability in October. And he's always been a good guy. You've never heard anything negative about him from his previous teammates, from opposing players, or he's a guy who shows up to work every day and he does things right. And I think he would fit the mold here perfectly. But with that, we talked about a lot today. It's been an hour and a half. I appreciate all 205 of you right now that came out to watch us tonight. It's been a slow time of the year, so it's been pretty fantastic that people are still interested enough to listen. I know Corbin Burnes is on the front of everybody's mind. So, but look, when it happens, whether we sign him or not, we're probably going to go live and talk about it. So, but we will we'll keep you guys updated with everything. Thanks again. I hope you all have had a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year and stuff, if I don't see you before the New Year. And I will catch you guys later.